Now, setting and achieving goals is done in two parts. The first is the inner preparation. That's what's done on the invisible, within yourself. And the second is that which we do in the outer, the visible portion of our life. So we have inner preparation and outer preparation, and the inner preparation is always greater than the outer preparation. It is always the most important, is that which we do on the inner realms of our life. Your power of choice enables you to think like an angel or a devil, to think like a king or a slave. In other words, whatever you choose, your mind will create and manifest. That's a very important insight. You have the power of choice. Whatever you choose, the power of your mind will do everything in its power to reproduce that mental equivalent in your experience. Very, very important realization. In this book that I showed you before, let me read you what he says, something about the mind. He said, we have used this principle, asking the subconscious mind to work for us while we sleep, over and over again to find the right house for us, the right automobile, the right answers to many problems. It works every time. Every need we have in life is an opportunity to set a goal and let the subconscious mind achieve it for us. Did you hear what I said? Every need that you have is an opportunity. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity for you to set a goal and rise above and achieve. If you have some what you call problems, not enough money, not enough recruits, not enough shows, not enough facials, whatever the case may be, all of those, if they are a lack in your mind, all of those are beautiful opportunities for you to set a goal and for you to rise above that goal and achieve it. That's the important point. Setting a goal creates a mold into which the energy of life flows. We live in a vast sea of mind, a plastic substance out of which all creation is made. This fluidic substance is as ready and willing to flow into our mental molds as the sea is ready to flow in and fill every depression on the shore. So as we set a goal, think of it that you are creating an empty mold that will be filled, that will help you to find the answers that you need in order to complete your goal. Today we're going to be working with three principles. The first principle is this: we live, we love, we work, we act. Not in accordance with the truth, but we live, we love, we work, we act in accordance with the truth as we believe it to be, as we think it is, as we perceive it. Let me repeat that. We live, we love, we work, we act. Not in accordance with the truth, but we live, we love, we work, we act in accordance with the truth as we believe it to be. I'll give you some examples in a few minutes. Second principle is we move toward and we become like that which we picture in our mind, whether it is good for us or not. We move toward and we become like that which we picture in our mind, whether it's good for us or not. Makes no difference to the law, whether it's for our good or for our ill. We will still move, we will still gravitate toward that picture that we have in our mind. And thirdly, all meaningful and lasting change begins first on the inside and then works its way to the outer. It must first start in the imagination. All meaningful and lasting change begins first on the inside and then works its way to the outer. It always must start in the imagination. Remember the Columbus story? He wanted to sail around the world when everybody else knew and believed that the world was flat. His belief was very different from the belief of his day, yet he had to convince people to let him try. We are discovering that many of the things we once believed to be impossible are now being done. For example, the 4-minute mile. For years it could never be done until someone ran the 4-minute mile. Then what happened? A lot of people began to run the 4-minute mile. See, never could be done before until somebody said, I can do it. And they did it. And all of a sudden, the barrier was down. Where do these imaginary limits come from? And what can you and I do about these limits in our own life? Because we all have them. We all have these imaginary limits that we have built in our life over which we will not cross. I cannot do it. And for many of us, that is a very narrow band in which we live and move and have our being. Today's session will help you understand some of the traps of the conditioning that relates to setting goals. Now, we have accepted the fact that some people are born with it, whatever that is, and some without it. Or you might hear, well, she's just a born leader, and so on. If you still believe this, that's old age thinking. It just isn't so. Now we're beginning to learn that each of us as human beings has an unlimited potential if we don't accept these false barriers. Every one of you here in this room this morning has unlimited potential. Unlimited. Not limited. Unlimited. But we all live within these imaginary barriers that we have of limitation. Some of you may be thinking, well, I don't, because I can see myself earning $1 million a year. But that's still $1 million of limitation. Part of what we will accomplish today is to try to destroy some of these mental barriers that are holding us back and try to widen our ideas, to try to help us to live and move and have our being in a wider area between limitations and try to destroy some of them that have been really holding us back that are not true at all. There is a man in California by the name of Dr. Suzuki. Some of you may know of him. Dr. Suzuki has children playing the violin by the time they are 3 years old. And he has these same children giving concerts by the time they are 5. Well, now, if you are an old age thinker, you're going to say, well, they've got it. inherited, of course. But Dr. Suzuki destroys this myth by teaching these little kids by the thousands. And if he can, he tries to begin teaching before the child is born. Now, I know what you're thinking, Weldon. The violin must be awfully small. Or Kelly, it must be awfully hard on the mother. But what Dr. Suzuki does, if he can, is he gets the parents to come to class before the child is born, so that he can teach mom and dad that their child has unlimited potential. Then, after the child is born, the parents will begin to treat their children as though they have unlimited potential. The children don't know any different. They just know that they have unlimited potential for playing the violin, and they go ahead and do it. So we know that they have unlimited potential for growth and change. You and I act in accordance with the truth as we believe it to be. These little children, they believe that they can play the violin at 3 and in concert by 5. They don't know any different. Nobody's told them that they can't, so they go ahead and do it. You see. And they're operating in a wider band, if you follow my meaning. You and I also set goals in accordance with the truth as we think it is in our life. See? We'll set goals. We will set small goals if we're really not sure of ourselves, or we see ourselves as just able to do a little bit, or we may think in a little higher realm, and we may be able to stretch that out a little bit. But still, we live and we act in accordance with the truth as we think it is about us. Not the truth that we have unlimited potential, but the truth as we think it is. As we think it is about ourselves. We move toward and become like that which we picture in our minds, whether it's good for us or not. This is a universal law. It works the same for all people. Everyone. Doesn't matter, the just and unjust alike. It works the same. You see, species man, you and I, are what is known as teleological in nature. Now forget the word. All it means is that you and I think in pictures. Okay? We are able to think in pictures. So whatever dominant picture that you and I have in our mind, we will move consistently toward fulfilling that picture in our human experience. And finally, all meaningful and lasting change begins first on the inside and then works its way to the outer. It must first start in the imagination, up here. Let's see what Addington says about that. He says, the greatest discovery of recent history has been the science of mind and how to use it. It is only in the last century that we have begun to define the specialized uses of both the conscious and subconscious mind. These are not two separate minds, but the activities of universal mind individualized in each one of us. You see, what we're talking about is getting meaningful and lasting change. All of us can get temporary change. Let's say that we wanted to go on a diet, for example. We can drive ourselves away temporarily from all the good stuff that we like to eat, right? And as long as we keep our focus on that, we're okay. But the minute we relax, we're right back to that same picture that we have in our mind of ourselves. And right back eating the things that we're not supposed to eat. If you don't know that's true, I can tell you it's true from personal experience. Because I've done that 100 times. If you want to stop smoking, for example, you can drive yourself away from the cigarettes for a time, but the moment that you relax, you'll automatically be back fulfilling the picture that you have in your mind. And you see, we will gravitate, we will move toward that picture, whether it's good for us or not. Let's look at what we have up here. Try to get out of the way for you. This is our mind. It's in three parts: the conscious mind, the subconscious, and what we will call the superconscious, or the creative subconscious, if you will. The conscious mind is that mind which we are able to perceive the world in which we live. It's the mind in which you perceive your Mary Kay business, for example. It's the mind with which you perceive your own life. Whatever you may do, you perceive it here. And you're constantly feeding in that information into your subconscious mind, because that subconscious mind is a vast memory storehouse. It records and stores everything. And whatever you tell it, it records. I like this person, I don't like that person, I don't like this experience, I'm no good, I don't do that well at all, I could never sell Mary Kay. All of that information is the truth as you believe it to be, and you begin to let it go into this vast workshop of your mind. Now the conscious mind, and I apologize, you gals, you can't see, it directs, it chooses, it analyzes, it reasons, it images, it judges, it judges here. It judges everything, whether it's good or bad, whether you like it or dislike it, whether you can do it, whether you can't. That's where the judging is done, right here. And it decides on a course of action based on your immediate needs and goals. Subconscious mind inspires you. It's the vast memory storehouse. It's like a great computer. It records and stores everything. It records and stores what you say to yourself. Ever talk to yourself about an experience after you've had it? Ever talk to yourself about a show after you've had one and you've gone out? And if it's been a good one, you've said some real good things about yourself and about the show and about the people there. And if it was a bad show, you might be saying something that is not good about you or about someone that was at the table. The subconscious mind never sleeps or rests. It doesn't take a vacation. It works all the time. And it cannot judge. The judging is done with your conscious mind. It has no power of judging. Whatever you put in there, it is going to move heaven and earth to reproduce in your experience. Whether it's good or bad, it can't judge whether it's good or bad for you. You have to judge out here. It can only reproduce the mental equivalent of your dominant thought. That's its function. It just reproduces what you put in. You are the chooser. You must choose. Say, well, I can't help it. Well, then you have to decide what you're going to allow to go in and stay in. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we go along. It records and stores your interpretation of the truth as you think that it is, as you believe it to be. It doesn't say, well, this isn't the truth because you're an unlimited, you have unlimited potential. It doesn't say that at all. It just says, okay, if that's what you want, I will do everything to reproduce it. It records and stores what you say to yourself. It records and stores the picture that goes with the experience. The picture of you. you've had a particularly bad experience, you may see yourself as weak. You may say that, oh, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I can't do this. And you begin to have those demeaning thoughts that are so prevalent and common when we have a bad experience. And the problem is we begin to accept that image for ourselves, and our subconscious records and stores it. And it also records and stores the emotion that goes with that feeling, with that image. We have emotion that goes with it. We have emotion about ourselves as we see ourselves. And that records and stores it too. In the superconscious, we have open to the allness of infinite intelligence, infinite mind, universal mind, if you will. It's the seat of all knowledge, knows the answer to all problems. Knows the answer to all problems. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, he calls it the sixth sense. It creatively solves all problems. It maintains the sanity of the truth as you believe it to be. In other words, if you believe yourself to be a winner, if you can see yourself as with greater potential, for example, then it will do everything that needs to be done to maintain that picture. I call it the sanity. Because if you start being something that you are not, that you cannot accept for yourself, for example, if you're called to get up and speak before a group and you've never done it before, and you have that uncomfortable feeling that settles behind the belt buckle, and you get perspiring, you want to run to the bathroom every 2 minutes, things like that. That is what is happening here. That's the picture you see of yourself, and it is trying to maintain the sanity of that picture. And it also is the inexhaustible supply of ideas. And this is constantly coming in to the workshop of our mind, you see. And we need to only become aware of it, be conscious of it. Remember that we need to change our way of thinking so that we can merge it with the beautiful and perfect ideas that are coming through us, so that we can then begin to do the work that's necessary in the workshop of our mind. Let's go on a little bit. If you are goal setting for success and you have failure or limited pictures, then what are you going to need to do? You're going to need to change the picture. See, the human thing is to get out here and change people, and change events and circumstances out here. Anyhow, okay? And say, if you had only changed, then I would be so much different, so much better. Trying to change things in the outer, when the change needs to be made here, we need to get a proper picture of ourselves. You see, we change the picture, we create new pictures. Listen, the conscious mind has the power of choice. The conscious mind has the power of choice. The conscious mind can use all of its powers of mental investigation, analysis, study, and weighing effects to determine the choice of the goal to be sought. Once the choice is made, the subconscious mind will accept that choice as direction. It will accept it. You do all of your work out here, choose what you want, and then begin to decide. So you see that choice will depend upon the intensity of the feeling, the intensity of the desire, the intensity of the acceptance, and the persistency and perseverance of the conscious mind. That is the willingness to see a picture on the objective. This is where we begin. Here is to make sure that we listen exactly what it is of the mind. How do you practice this to life? You do it by creating a picture of what you want. After a picture of what you don't want. That sounds simple. But to create pictures of what you want, that's the opposite of what you don't want. We have a tendency to clean up all of the old things that you never know. And believe it or not, let it be. Because there is no one and to know as far as you get there, stay where it is. Your responsibility is to choose your destination. The only limiting factor is you. The only limiting factor is you. You can do
That's your right. But you are.
From a conditioned mind, we have been told and we accepted that we can't do something. You can't do this or can't do that. And we say, that's right, I can't. You see? And so we never expand our limits at all. So set your goals based on expectations, not on experience. You can say somebody wants to, if you want to recruit more people, and you've never recruited anybody before, don't base your goal on past experience that you've never done it before, therefore I can't do it. Base it on expectations. I need so many, I can do it. There are the first two steps in setting a goal. The first one is to get clearly in mind exactly what it is that you want. Get clearly in mind exactly what it is that you want. Secondly, develop a strong conviction that it's already yours. Develop a strong conviction that it's already yours. I want you to be able to see it, taste it, smell it, know it, feel it. Whatever it is. Remember that every time you set a clear goal, you set in motion the entire machinery of the universe for the purpose of causing your goal to become manifest in your experience. There's a poem that he has in the book, which I like. It says, "The man with vague and vagrant hopes is always hanging on the ropes, or vainly sparring with the air because he sees what isn't there. He who would build a house must plan the kind of house, the height, the span, and know the stuff with which to build if he would have his dream fulfilled. And he must know down to the penny, the size of nails, the kind, how many. Do you want fir or oak or pine? You'll have to lay it right on the line. This truth cuts sharper than a knife. To build a home or build a life, there is one law you must apply. Choose well your aim and specify." You have got to be clear what it is you want, because if all of this power is going to go work on it, and you put in confusion in here, you're going to get the same thing out. It's just like a computer, the old garbage in, garbage out theory. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. The function here is to reproduce that which you put in, a mental equivalent in your life. So you have the responsibility to choose clearly what it is you want. Let's talk about desire. What do I want? And this is where the majority of people, unfortunately, fail in goal setting. Because they just don't know what they want. In many cases, they're not sure if their desires are right for them. We have a little test to find out if it's right or not. It's a point test, just write it down. First one is, does it exist? Second, does it exist for me? Third, is it right for me? And fourth, and perhaps most difficult, can I accept it? First is, does it exist? Does it exist for me? Is it right for me? Can I accept it? Let's assume that you're going for a sum of money. Let's say that it's $5,000 a month, for example. But that's your goal, and you've got it clearly in mind. So to test whether this is right for you, a right goal, first of all, does it exist? Well, we don't have to say yes, it certainly does exist. Does it exist for me? Well, can you imagine yourself having it? Question number 3, is it right for me? If you do get that, are you going to feel guilty about it? Sounds crazy, but a lot of people feel guilty about having lots of money, whatever lots of money is to them. I used to be that way. I was conditioned to believe that money was bad. Money was sinful. Everybody seemed to like it and have it, but and I had a real problem with it, because while I wanted to make a lot of money, I could never get past, in my mind, question number 3, you see, because I felt guilty about it. And, perhaps some of you might be worrying about it because it may cause you to have more responsibility than you want. Some of you single gals may think that it might attract some men that just want to marry you for your money. Abby always came up with a beautiful line, which I love, and she said, if it bothers you to have money, give it to me and I'll pray for you. But for some people, it can be a problem. And of course, if the answer to question number 3 is no, don't go any farther, because the question number 4 is going to be no too. Can I accept it? Can I really accept it? Not feeling guilty. And this applies to any kind of a goal that you want to set. I just picked money. Could be anything. Could be a relationship that you want to go into. Okay? Be a new job. Can I accept it? Do I really want the responsibilities that go with it, for example? If we've got anybody here that's working outside of NAK. Those are the things that we need to work with. As we ask ourselves the 4 questions, we must take into consideration that we are called upon to accept all of the responsibilities that go with our desire. There may sometimes be inconveniences, so ask yourself, in establishing my desire as a goal, am I willing to accept all the responsibilities and all the inconveniences that go with it? If you're setting a goal for $5,000, if that is a realistic goal for you, then there are going to be some inconveniences for you, because you're going to have to go out and work. It's not going to show up in the Brinks truck outside your home every month, and they're going to shovel in a bushel full of money. You're going to have to work. Are you willing to have that responsibility? Are you willing to have that inconvenience? That's all part of it. Because if you're putting in that goal and you really aren't willing to take the responsibility that goes with it, then forget it. Because you're going to do everything that you can to unconsciously to keep you from doing that goal, from achieving it. Remember this, that setting and achieving goals is done in 2 parts, inner and outer. And the inner is the most important preparation that can be made. Setting goals and achieving them, there are 3 forms of expectation that you'll be dealing with. The first form is hope, H-O-P-E, hope. The definition of hope is where I expect something to happen in the future. Think in terms of goal setting now. Is your goal setting based on hope? The next level higher is belief. That's declaring something as true after it has become obvious to the senses. After you've been able to see it, for example. That's belief. And the highest form of expectation is faith. F-A-I-T-H. Faith declares that she has already received before there's the slightest visible evidence. Faith declares she has already received before there's the slightest visible evidence. That's what we want to work toward, that highest form of expectation. By goal setting, you are developing what you want to experience by first creating it in your thought and feeling. Then the mental equivalent of that picture will appear in your experience. So how do you know your goal is realistic for you? Goals that do not conform to the laws of life are unrealistic goals that are not going to be realized. For example, if I were to have as my goal walking on the moon and had no intention of becoming an astronaut, but relied solely on some handmade wings I had put together in my basement, I would have an unrealistic goal. See? A person who has a poverty consciousness, all his life, and sets a goal to be a multimillionaire in a single bound, is completely unrealistic. Completely unrealistic. Years ago, I fell in that class of a poverty consciousness. I believed that all any person should ever be entitled to was just enough to get by. And the law works perfectly. That's all I ever had. Just enough to make it. Until I learned that some of the cherished beliefs that I was holding, I needed to throw in the trash can and get some beliefs and ideas that began to serve me in a better way, in a more realistic way for me. So remember this, change the belief about yourself. If you have a situation like that, believe in your new self, accept your new self, and then live your new self. Actually be the new person you have accepted yourself to be. Begin to live it in the now. In the now. We're not in the hope area, hoping that someday I'll be able to live it after I get it. We're not in the belief area where I will do it as soon as I am from Missouri, as soon as I see it. But we're in the faith area. And I see myself, I feel myself, I know myself to be that person. And so I begin to act like the person that I see myself to be. The best way to set a goal is by writing your goal in affirmation form. Now, affirmations are not necessarily statements of outer fact, but they are the truth of your inner higher being. They are the truth of your unlimited potential. Remember, we started out with that. All of us are beings that have unlimited potential. That is the truth about you. And so we write our affirmations based on that truth. Affirmations stated and repeated with feeling of the goals fulfilled will inspire and motivate you. But here's something that is very critical in affirmations, is you don't say them to make something true in your life. You say them because it is true already. It is true on the inner realms. You can see the picture, you can feel the picture, and you experience within that you are that person already. Most everyone in Mary Kay that achieves great success already sees themselves as that success long before they have actually outwardly achieved the goal. And they begin to act in accordance with the truth as they believe it to be about themselves. And so when writing an affirmation, they write it as it is to them within. And they begin to reinforce that picture of themselves as they truly are on the inner. And remember, we said that all meaningful and lasting change begins first on the inside and then works its way to the outer. It must first start in the imagination. Here's some examples of some affirmations. That $5,000 deal. You say, well, how can I act that way when I'm not physically earning it? Already built that picture of yourself in your mind. You can see it in your checkbook, see it in your hand if that's better. Be able to actually see yourself doing the things in your mind that you will do when you have the money. Abby has a trick that she uses, a technique, I guess would be a better way to put it. Sometimes she has a problem making large amounts of money. But she can see her giving 10% of that to the church. And so she goal sets for maybe $1,000 to the church. Which means that if she can do that, and that's 10%, then she has to earn $10,000, right? That's just a technique. But she can see herself doing that, where it may be difficult for her to see $10,000. I'm just using both. What you can do, the important thing is that you see yourself on the inner realms already accomplished. The faith step, remember? Faith declares she has already received before there's the slightest visible evidence. So your affirmation for $5,000 might be this: I am now earning $5,000 each and every month. And I enjoy the feeling of excitement and power, being able to pay all of my bills, buy anything I want to buy, and invest in the exciting projects I choose. That's just an example. But in your affirmations, now you see, you might say, well, you're not doing that already. Not in the outer, but I'm doing it on the inner. See, I have that faith. Before it's manifesting out here, I can see it, I can smell it, I can taste it. It's the truth. I have unlimited potential. And so I write my affirmation that way. That affirmation has excitement and power. Being able to pay all my bills, buy anything I want to buy, and invest in the exciting projects I choose. Now, in there you'll find some trigger words that will generate emotion. The trigger words are a feeling of excitement and power. Put in whatever words will generate some enthusiasm within you. See, don't use my affirmations and my words. It must come out of your own depth, out of your own need. But put in some words that will bring excitement to you, and that will generate some emotion. For better social mobility, you might want to say, it is easy for me to treat everyone I meet with love and courtesy, because I have that deep feeling of warmth and love for myself. And you begin to see yourself as that loving, warm person that you know that you are on the inner. Again, we're beginning to break down the barriers, you see, and moving our limitations out farther so that we can operate greater within them. I'd like you to do this. I'd like you to take the word fail or failure out of your vocabulary. You don't need it anymore. Regardless of the experience that you have or will ever have, you cannot fail. Because you will either earn or learn from the experience. Both are positive. You will either earn, E-A-R-N, or learn, L-E-A-R-N. And both are positive experiences. Neither are failures. Take that word out. It doesn't serve you very well. Don't use it. Review the steps again. And I'll add 2 more. There's only 4. First of all, you must get clearly in mind exactly what it is you want. Okay, that's the thought step. Put down one word, thought. Secondly, develop the strong conviction that it's already yours. That's the feeling step. The third step is that you do everything in the outer that you can do to make it happen. Career, it may be holding so many shows, so many facials, it may be trying to recruit X number of people a month or a week or whatever it may be. Those are the outer things that you do to help make it. It's the plan that you use. And that we call the action step. And the final step is to release it. Let it go. Be able to, after you've done all of the work, the thought, the feeling, the action, then do the release or acceptance. Accept it as done. Don't be like the farmer that plants his corn. 2 days later he's out digging it up to see if it's going to germinate. He has faith that it will germinate. Have faith that your plan will also be completed properly because you've done the steps properly. So you have 4 steps: thought, thought, feeling, action, and acceptance or release. And of the 4 steps, 3 are done on the inner. 1 is done in the outer. 3 are done on the inner realms, and 1, the action step, is the only one that's done in the outer. I have a cute poem here that, when we're talking about let go, and this one's titled Let Go and Let God. It says, as children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He was my friend. But then instead of leaving Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back and cried, how could you be so slow? My son, God said, what could I do? You never did let go. Remember, that's one of the most important parts of the process, is letting go. Quit worrying about it. That's digging up the seed. Do your steps and then release it. Let it go. Let the power of the universe begin working for you. Put in the right material. Sweep out what you don't want. Sweep in what you do want. Now, when setting and achieving goals, we wonder, where will the money come from? Where will I get the people, the clients, the customers? Where will I get the information I need to achieve my goal? These questions and many more like it Setting and achieving goals becomes an art and a science when one realizes that goal achievement is governed by definite mental laws and not by luck or chance. Everyone should know these laws and how they work. Everyone should know the penalties of misusing the law, as well as the successes that come with applying them wisely and properly. See, all of the human race, you and I, have a built-in screening device that actually brings the needed information to us. It is sometimes referred to as the sixth sense, which I mentioned before, through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by you. This sixth sense is that portion of the mind which has been referred to as the creative subconscious, the creative imagination, infinite intelligence. It has also been referred to as the receiving set, through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. These flashes are sometimes called hunches and inspirations. In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, you will find this statement. Through the aid of the sixth sense, you will be warned of impending dangers in time to avoid them, and you will be notified of opportunities in time to embrace them. And this is a very apt description of what is known as the reticular activating system. And all the word reticular means, you can look it up in the dictionary, is net-like. And within each of us, we have a net-like group of cells at the base of our brain, which acts like a screening device, like a good executive secretary that sorts out and filters out all the junk mail. Let me explain more closely what it's like, and you can identify with this. We have a mother that has just gone to bed to sleep. In the next room are a group of teenagers with the TV turned up high, having a party. There are planes going overhead and there's big trucks going by on the street. Lots of noise. Lots of information of noise coming through. In the next room from the mother is a little baby, sound asleep. Mother goes to sleep despite the noise, and she's sound asleep. The exterior noise doesn't get through, doesn't bother her at all. But the baby wakes up, and instantly that information gets through, and she's up and taking care of the baby. Probably many of you have had a similar experience. What happens is that the reticular activating system only allows information to get through that is important or is a threat. It only allows value or threats to get through. Everything else is absolutely locked out. It's locked out like the car, the truck, the airplane noises, the teenage noises. But you see, what we're getting at is that you must determine what is important to you first. We're right back to the setting goal operation, aren't we? Get clearly in mind exactly what you want so that that information can come through. Because everything else will be locked out. You must determine what is of value first. What kind of client are you looking for? What kind of refrigerator are you looking for? What kind of home are you looking for? What kind of knowledge are you looking for? And you have to decide that. You have to choose that before that information gets through. And if the information is all around you, you see, and just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. When you determine that it's refrigerators you want, you see them all over the place.
But until you determine that it's a refrigerator that you want and exactly what kind you want, you don't see them. Ever had the experience where you've chosen that you want a new car? A certain kind of car, maybe a certain color. And all of a sudden, as you're driving around, you see them all over the place. Right? Well, they were there before, but you never saw them. Why? Because that information was not important to you. Not until you set a goal that I want a new Buick or whatever it may be. Maybe some of you would like a new Forenza. If a lot of you probably know this even better than I, but a lot of the gals will go down to the automobile dealer and they'll sit in the Forenza. And they'll get a feel of it. They'll get and see what the dashboard looks like and everything, and get pictures of it. And then when they're driving around town in their own car, they image that it's a Forenza. See, they're already that person. They see themselves being the Forenza driver already. Hadn't happened yet, but they've got it in their mind. Now, not hope so, not belief, but faith. I'm there now. It's really important. So if you're looking for a specific recruit, you know that you want a specific recruit, you know what kind you would like, you'll begin to see them all over the place. See? But if you don't determine what kind of recruit you're looking for, you won't see them. They're all around you. I promise you, they're all around you, everywhere you go. You just don't know it. And once you clearly set in mind, maybe not the person's face, but the qualities, the characteristics that you want in a recruit, you'll begin to find them all over the place. People will come up to you about some other things, and they're the exact person that you're looking for. And they're really looking for you, only they don't know it yet. Okay, that's how it works. So what we are saying is you must set your goal first. We must know what is of value first, then the information gets through. It's so important to understand this, that the information does not come through first. Where are all my recruits? That information will not come through first until you've got a clear picture in your mind of what you want. Then you'll begin to see them all over the place. They'll begin to come up to you. There's just too much information in the universe. So what you must do is become selective. Be selective and pull out the information that's all around that you want. What do I want? Once I determine that, then the information gets through. See, the seed of all knowledge is right here within you and knows the answer to all problems. The answer is there. And it'll automatically bring to you what you need to fulfill your goal. Just because you can't see it now doesn't mean it isn't there. I've seen people that are looking for jobs and they really don't know what kind of a job they want. They don't know where they want to work or anything else. And to them, there are no jobs available. They look around, they don't see any. There just aren't any. But they're all around there and they won't show up until they decide exactly what it is that they want. If you get nothing more out of today's class than that, it will be worthwhile for you. So let's try to understand this. There is information all over the place for whatever you need to know. You are in constant contact with all the information in the universe, and you have contact with it through infinite mind or infinite intelligence. It's already built in you. Napoleon Hill reaffirms just what I'm telling you. In his book, Think and Grow Rich, he says this: there comes to your aid and to do your bidding with the development of the sixth sense a guardian angel, he calls it, who will open to you at all times the door to the temple of wisdom. He explains it that way. He goes on to explain that nature never deviates from her established laws. The laws are set in place. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Does it make a difference what you think? You better believe it makes a difference. If you've got tacky thoughts in there that you don't want, that aren't serving you, get rid of them. You may have to go have a talk with yourself and tell them to get out and stay out. I'm not telling you that you should do it. I'm saying only if you want to. You have the choice. I can't tell you what to think. That's up to you. I can only tell you how it works. Okay? You have to choose what you want coming out of that mind of yours, coming out of your experience, out of your everyday life. And I'm telling you how it works, and you be the choice. You choose what you put in. It's what you put in, you're going to get out. Simple instructions, but it's not easy. I'm not telling you it's easy. I've been working with it a long time, and I still got a lot of work to do. But once you begin making a commitment to put in the right kind of thoughts into your life, you'll begin to see some dramatic results that are just beautiful. So remember that we properly set goals by creating the pictures that we want. See, when you begin to understand the use of your reticular activating system and use it intelligently with faith, so-called miracles will happen in your life. And it will appear like magic to outsiders. What is a miracle? Well, to me, a miracle is just the natural order of things. It's the way things are supposed to be. We talk about healing, people that are miraculously healed. Well, really not a miracle. It's the way we're supposed to be. God created us to be healthy, not sick. Yet, you know what our band is? We go around and say, oh boy, I've been 3 months without a cold. Like the natural thing is to have a cold, see? And I've missed it. Isn't that great? So what am I doing? I'm sicking all the time. I need to be being healthy all the time. Putting in the right kind of thoughts in my mind. Abby, would you hand out those cards? I've got a card for you that says, expect a miracle. And carry it with you or put it on the mirror in your home or something, but use it as a reminder of the tremendous power that you have within you. And that, yeah, 2 is fine. I think I've got enough. You had them sorted that way anyway, huh? Okay. All right, now let's talk about.
If there isn't enough, I'll have to call back.
Well, they can get it next week. I've got some more at home. Well, take one and I'll have Abby bring some next week. Just take one and share it up front here, and we'll get some more next week. Going to talk a minute about self-talk. Remember, we've talked about the things that we say to ourselves. Remember when we've had a good show or a bad show? We begin to talk to ourselves. Either I did that real well, or boy, was I dumb. Or it didn't go well, or if she hadn't been here, it would have gone a lot better. So on and so forth, right? That's happened before, huh? Okay, let's look at this. That's what we call self-talk. It's the things that we say to ourselves in the book. Let me give this. He talks about mental barriers. These are some of the things that we say to ourselves. I'm too young. I can't expect to set the world on fire at my age. Or the other side is, I'm too old. My life is over. I'll soon be retiring anyway. I'm too clumsy, stupid, awkward. I don't appeal to the opposite sex. I don't seem to make a good impression. I'm a slow thinker. I'm sort of dense. I never had a good memory. I never can remember names or faces. Well, that we've all said that one. Nothing works out for me. What can you expect with my lack of education? And these are the put-downs that we put on ourselves. We call it self-talk. The things that we do. When we have an experience, we talk to ourselves about it. And we announce to ourselves how wonderful we are or what a dope we are. Right? But all of that gets into here. And this is what happens. When we say our self-talk, it reinforces the image or picture that goes along with that self-talk. Okay? The image or picture that we have controls our behavior and performance out here. And when we have poor performance again, or any kind of performance, it stimulates self-talk, either positive or negative. And we get into this cycle, and it continues to go around. As we continue to give more self-talk on the negative scale, it continues to have a poor image, a poor picture in our mind, which controls, again, poor performance, which leads us back into poor self-talk again. So this is nothing more than affirmation. I am stupid. I did not do that, so on and so forth. Those are affirmations, and that's how we stop this, is we put in here affirmations based on our expectations, based on the fact that we truly have unlimited potential. And we begin to create a new picture and image, which will then control better performance and behavior. And as we have the better performance, it will stimulate good, positive self-talk. Got it? And folks, this is what makes the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's that simple. Here's some examples of how the self-talk cycle works. In football, good football season right now. In the pros, in the college, probably in the high school, I don't know. They take films of the games, don't they? And come Monday or Tuesday or whenever they do it, they bring out the guys in and they play the films and they show them everything they did wrong. See? Get it up in your mind. You got it now? You see what you did wrong? Run it again, Joe. One more time. Make sure he's got it. Got it now? Yep, Coach, I got it. So they go out and practice. Same darn thing over again. Do the same thing wrong. Why? Because they've got this image or picture, and he's just reinforcing that image or picture. Baseball hitters get in a slump. You know, they're up at bat. The ball goes by so fast, and he's thinking to himself, that's so fast, nobody's going to hit it. I couldn't hit that in a million years, so on and so forth. And what happens? His wrists will automatically adjust so that he will miss the ball. Same thing in playing golf. You know, you get up there, and my greatest trick used to be, I'd get up in front of a water hole, and I would announce to everybody that the ball was going in the water. It did, right. Who said that? Okay, you've been there. That's right. Because I could visualize it in my mind before I got up there. I could see that splash in the water. And it never failed. And it works all the time. It really does. Then I began to find out that, hey, I can work it with my golf, too. I can see a different picture. And it helped tremendously. Maybe you're familiar with Dr. Carl Symington, cancer doctor. Okay, for those of you that aren't, Dr. Carl Symington is a cancer doctor. He used to be in Fort Worth. Again, his practice there dealt only with terminal cases. He's now in Pacific Palisades, California. He's moved his office there. Dr. Symington got the terminal patients and he taught them exactly what I'm teaching you this morning. How the mind works. And he taught them that within their bodies they had good cells with big mouths and big teeth, and those cells were going out through their body and eating up all the bad cells. Had them draw pictures of it. Get it in their mind. And those that thought it was a bunch of hokey and that it was no good didn't make it. The ones that could do it and could accept it as a new way of thinking were able to get remission. And he did not stop what they were doing. If they're on chemotherapy, kept it up. If they're on any kind of treatment, kept it up. Do the same. Just see that that treatment was also doing its wonderful work, whatever it was. Begin to image right here